Brodes Media.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into another edition of Schmoozed. It's been a while since I schmoozed with anybody, so why not sit back, relax with a nice fat cup of coffee, and talk to my good friend Jason Myrtetus. What's up, Jace? What's going on, man?
I don't have any coffee. I don't drink hot beverages. But actually, in honor of you, I decided to do something I haven't done since before I got sick. I was since I don't drink coffee, I drink like diet soda, but that's not punchy enough sometimes in the morning. I was a 5-hour energy guy, but I haven't had a 5-hour energy since maybe November. So to get a little spike going, we're going to take a little shot. Blue raspberry.
Wow, nice. That's a good item. That's a damn good item. I love it.
I'll spike you up.
Yeah. Now we'll see where this puppy goes.
Yeah.
Listen, before we get into any hockey, though, I know there are a lot of people that have been following you, your journey. They know what you're going through. Maybe a little update on where you currently stand, and then I want to get into a little bit of something else as well. But we'll start there.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm through 6 of 8 chemo treatments. My next chemo infusion treatment will be this Thursday. And it's weird because I'm actually, like, for the first time, I think, looking forward to the treatment, because I know that when I'm done this treatment, I got 1 chemo treatment left. So whereas in the beginning, it was like, where's the end? I had 8 chemo treatments over 16 weeks. It's like so far away. And at times, there were times during it where I was like, I can't keep doing it, because it was just beating me up so bad. But now I know what to expect from the treatments. It sucks, but you got to embrace the suck to get to the end, to the goal line. So I have that this week, and then I'll have a break for about a month, get some new scans, and I'll go into the phase 2, where I'll take the chemo pill and have radiation for 5 weeks. And I'm hoping to avoid surgery. I'm hoping I have what's called a complete response, where the chemo and then the chemo and radiation treatment show no signs. NED. I'm looking to go NED, which is no evidence of disease. And then I'll go into a program, if that is the case, called Watch and Wait, where they'll monitor me close every 3 months to make sure it's not coming back. But the plan all along, my treatment plan, very aggressive because of my age and, according to them, my relative health. So to go after it, kill it, and give yourself the best chance for it not to return. And my treatment was deemed curative, which I didn't know what even that meant at the time, but to rid you of cancer and for it not to come back. So that's the path I'm on. But that also meant, when I signed the dotted line on that treatment plan, that it was going to be rough. It's going to be aggressive, and it's going to be hard. And it has been. It's beaten me up pretty good. But we're pushing along. I'm positive now. I feel like I'm in a good headspace, and I think the reason why I'm in a good headspace, I'm doing a lot of work with Penn Medicine and with the Flyers, and just getting the word out there to try and help people. Because if I didn't give this whole thing purpose, I just sat around and been like, why me? Like, I see dudes walking around treating their bodies like crap, bad people, and they don't have it. I'm going, why not them? Why me? But now I kind of look at it, I go, okay, they gave it to me. I got it. It's a path I'm on. I might as well use it for some good, give it some purpose. And the amount of emails and notes I get from people that are like, hey, I heard your story. I went and got checked out. They found 3 polyps precancerous, so they don't have to go through what I'm going through. And it's younger and younger all the time, the people that it's affecting. I got an email from a 32-year-old guy. Said, history of GI issues, cancers in my family. So I went, and they found, that's the guy that found 3 polyps that were precancerous in his 30s. It's crazy. So the message to people is really simple. Your body will tell you a lot of times. Sometimes it won't. And if you have a history, go get checked out, get a colonoscopy, just go to a GI doctor. But a lot of times your body will tell you. Just listen to it. I didn't. I'm lucky because I did not listen to it for a long time. I tried to diagnose myself through Google with stuff that wasn't cancer. And I didn't have a good quality of life for well over, 14, 15 months because of it. But I got lucky and they still found it before it spread. So that's the thing. Listen to your body and just get checked out when you feel something's not right. I thought it was just aging, or I wanted to blame it on that. 5 years ago, I could see through walls. Now I can't read my phone, So I figured, my eyes are going, my guts are going, but it wasn't. So that's really the most important thing. I just don't want people to have to go through what I'm going through. And we're doing a big awareness campaign with Penn Medicine and the Flyers and working with Flyers charity. So I'm giving it purpose, and that's helping me a lot. I knew that going public would help people, but make no bones about it, I'm selfish too. I knew it would help me, and it has.
Yeah, no, listen, I mean, from the outsider looking in and reading all the stories, the NHL.com, talking to you whenever I get the chance, your goal is working because, I've talked to family members. I've talked to my uncle who went through a colonoscopy recently because I said, hey, I know this one guy I work with through the Flyers, this and that, and he got checked. And so it's working. The message is getting out there and people are listening to it. So I do want to say it definitely is having the impact that you're making it have.
Well, the colonoscopy is like the thing that scares people. That's what freaked me out. Like, they're going to stick a camera over here, the whole thing, right?
Of course.
It seems awfully invasive, right?
Especially the process you hear about prior to the colonoscopy.
And that's the only thing that's bad. Like the actual colonoscopy is the biggest nothing burger of a procedure you'll ever have. You don't even know they were there. You just get a good sleep and you're good to go. The process is, you got to get everything out of you. But frankly, you should do a cleaning every once in a while anyway. There's like an old stubborn piece of gum that was stuck probably be there. I've been here since 87, like coming out. You got to get some stuff out. You got to reset your phone every once in a while. You got to reset your GI tract too.
Yeah. I don't know how to transition. I'm trying to be professional, something with the asshole, Matvei, Michkov. I don't know.
Now just go right to it.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we'll get into some hockey. All right,
I'm not wearing the hat, by the way, because I lost my hair. From chemo. I lost my hair long before chemo.
Yeah. Looks good. I'm holding on to this lettuce as long as I can, dude. Because I know one day I'm a bald man, and I'm looking forward to it. But for now,
Yeah. It's got my eyebrows a little less, but my beard's thinned out.
You're still a handsome man, my friend. Still a handsome man. All right, Matvei Michkov. Let's start here. I got a lot. We got a lot to chew on here when it comes to the hockey side of things. His first year, he's been through some ups and downs. Maybe not. Maybe he doesn't look at it that way with the whole Tort stuff and whatnot. But specifically more about Michkov, his ability, what you see. I'll give you what I love first about him, and then I'll let you go. He obviously has the skill, right? The ability to score. Some of his passing when he enters the zone is beautiful. I love his competitive drive. I just think that he wants it so bad. If you don't have that to start the foundation, I don't know if you're going to be a superstar or not. That's my first takeaway when I watch him every night. What's yours?
You nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. Guys can have skill. We've seen, how many guys have we seen roll through Philly? Tons of skill, no belly, right? No compete. And you hate seeing that because it's like there's so much there that won't be fulfilled because you lack the one thing that is needed most, and that's compete. The most impressive parts of the season for me from Michkov are when he struggled and how he fought through it. He still competed his rear end off and went out and worked as hard as he could, even though maybe he was getting less ice time than he wanted or those things. But he kept going out and competing. And, we heard that before the draft, but I always wonder what comes out of Russia. Are we hearing like the real deal, right? Are we getting a propaganda campaign? But the way he's competed when he has struggled tells me that he doesn't take it lightly, which is huge. The other big thing for me, and we'll talk about some of the specific skills of his game. The other thing for me is the way he has risen in the spotlight when he's facing a fellow countryman, like a high caliber player, whether it's Malkin, Crosby, or Ovechkin, or Nikita Kucherov. He steps up. He looks forward to those situations. In big games, he wants to shine. Like when the spotlight's the brightest, he's like, bring it on. And you know this. You played with guys like this. Good players. When the spotlight came, they shrunk. He's not that guy. He's going to be a guy, which tells you he's going to be a good playoff performer. Clutch, right? And he's going to just go all out. And then when you look at the specific player, the thing that impresses me so much, he plays so much on the right side. He plays such positionless offense. Yet most of his scoring chances playing on the right side have come from the left side of the ice. His high danger chances in tight all come from there where he sets up plays, all come from the left side because he migrates to the middle so beautifully. He knows when to go to the middle, and he just mesmerizes D. I mean, you know this, when he goes to the middle, it just sinks everybody back. And then all of a sudden your D can activate. He's got options in front of him on either side. Everybody's in play. So there's more to account for. And he's a deft passer and he's playing. He's playing 2000 IQ ELO chess. You know, there was a goal earlier this year. He set Couturier up on the back door. Tippett was right to his left, cocked and loaded for a one-timer. 99 players out of 100 are just going to drop that off, put it on a tee for Tippett to slam it. He doesn't. He waits it out, draws the defender to him, draws the D away from Couturier, cross ice, pass backdoor. Couturier taps it in. It's a simple goal, but a way higher percentage scoring chance than it would have been the one-timer for Tippett. That's what he does.
Yeah, no, and it's funny because when I watch around the league, I see all these young kids come in and they're scoring goals from the goal line, picking corners, short side. We saw that in Montreal. Now maybe Urson, I don't know. We'll get into goaltending a little bit later on, but you see this all over the place, and then I get to see him work behind the goal line, and it's not just Michigan stuff. I'm talking more along the lines of kind of what you said. You know, you're at the goal line and you're threading a needle through the crease to somebody backdoor or whatever. His ability, it's what I see when I watch all these other teams, and I go, I want that. I want that. I want a young kid who sees the ice differently than everybody else. I don't want to stay outside the dots, throw a shot far pad, and crash to see if we can get a rebound. Not that I'm anti-far pad. I made a living off of far pad. I look far pad on breakaways sometimes just for the rebound.
Just for the guy driving. Yeah. BOP, puck on pad.
It's the best. It's the best play. But I want some skill of all the game has changed. These kids, they grow up different with these angles and what they try to do, and we finally have that. So between compete level and the way he sees the ice compared to everybody else, I mean, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit for this kid.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. I'll just put this graphic on the screen. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, yeah, I can pop it up. Hold on.
Yeah, I mean, it's absurd. He's got 18 scoring chances below the goal line.
That's crazy.
Which is insane, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is absurd. That's an absurd amount. And then if you look at, okay, so here's some other players down below the goal line.
I mean, this is
not done by me. This is done by a listener. McKinnon, only 2 below the goal line. Eichel, 2 below. McDavid with 8 below the goal. Draisaitl. This is a listener that sends me this stuff. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's nuts. What he thinks he can score from anywhere. Why? Because he can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
You got a guy like that he's got stones like, hey, I'm below the goal line. I can still find a way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because he's got elite vision, elite puck skills, and he has got he's not going to be an all-star. I'm sorry to break it to people. He is going to be a superstar. I'm not going to call him generational because I really hold that term for very few people. But he has superstar written all over him. And he hasn't done a thing this year to make me think otherwise.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I didn't plan on getting into this, but since you just said that, I'm going to throw it in real quick. It's crazy to think about like what Ovechkin just did. Obviously, Sidney Crosby, the point per game seasons, when they came in 05, 06, and they were promised to be this next generation that really helped this sport. And for them to both live up to the expectations that they did, it really, and now that you're watching them in year 20, you go, wow, I can't believe that flew by that much. But what they did for the game, it's crazy. Now, I'm a big violation guy on the Flyers front, and I said this for the first time on WIP. I was very scared to do it, but I did it. I love Crosby. I love Crosby. I know. But you know how fun. What do you mean? I'm not talking crybaby year 1 Crosby. I'm talking 3-time Cup champion, double back-to-back Stanley Cup champion. He's just so good at everything he did, but just think about what those two guys really were, being talked about, everything. And they somehow really both lived up to expectations. Now, I want to ask you this question.
In the same division, mind you.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Think about what they've done for their individual cities.
I know.
What Ovechkin means to the Caps, the value of the Caps. Crosby saved the Penguins. They were bankrupt.
Oh, yeah.
They went from being not on a page on the paper to being the front page for 20 years because he's there. And neither player has done a thing off the ice that will hurt the game. They've carried themselves like total pros, both of them.
Yeah.
How do you not respect it?
I know, but I saw this debate going around on Twitter. It was a light one, but just in regards to Stanley Cup versus, you look at one guy who's got multiple rings, or you have one ring, but you also are the leading NHL goal scorer in history, beating Wayne Gretzky. And obviously, the competitor in me wants to say, give me all the cups, right? Because that's what you want. You want the parades and all that stuff, but
the greatest goal scorer of all time.
And you have one, right? Yeah. It's not as if you got a goose egg. You got one. Now, I think my gut still screams I would take 3 cups over that record, but I do think it's debatable. Yeah.
Because, just because you get the ability for 20 years to watch the greatest goal scorer of all time, a guy in Ovechkin who didn't think the record was breakable. As recently as 2016, he told that to Elliot Friedman, no, it's not breakable, because he thought his body would break down. He's 39. The dude had 42 goals in 61 games.
He broke his fibula this year. This year.
He defies a lot. It doesn't make sense, right? It defies all logic at his age. It's still, and not only that, he's 100 hits away from being second all time in the NHL in hits.
I didn't even know that.
The dude's a freight train.
Yeah.
Like, he hasn't taken the game like, He wasn't like the Barry Sanders to step on out of the, on the sideline on a running play as a business decision to save his body. He takes contact as much as he can and initiates it. It's bananas. It defies logic.
Yeah. I didn't know.
It is debatable because the greatest goal scorer, the hardest thing to do in the game is score, right? And to have a guy that has scored that much, and that's the most celebrated thing is scoring goals in individual games. So day to day, you probably have to lean towards the Caps. And you're right, they don't have the goose egg. So they do have a cup, which is, and frankly, he had to have a cup, and he got it.
Yeah, he might have another one too with this squad. We'll find out.
They're good.
I know.
They're deep too.
Yeah, they are good. All right, let's get back to the Fly guys. So, John Tortorella, all right, the firing, I didn't expect it to go down the way that it did. Now, I thought maybe they would potentially open up a discussion of, is it worth another year or not when the season ended? Now, I don't know what direction they would have went, but if you told me they sat down and really went through pros and cons, I wouldn't have been surprised. But then the whole Cam York spitting chicklets report came down that maybe John Tortorella said something to Cam York about he's going to bury him. I don't know if that's true or not, but were you surprised on how it happened? Were you surprised on the way that it went after that press conference of saying he's not interested in this type of team?
Yeah, well, I thought, it's Torts a lot of times in postgame in those situations would be really short because he knew to measure himself because he could only get himself in trouble. On that occasion after the Toronto game, he didn't measure himself. And it came out, I don't think it came out as he intended it. I think what he was saying was, we got to get this, we got to start moving forward because I don't want to keep doing this. I'm too much of a competitor. I can't take losing 2 games and giving up 7 goals at each of them. I think that was the intent. But I was surprised with 9 games left. I thought that this would be his final year because I thought they would sit down in the offseason and have a conversation because he's going into the final year of his deal. And you don't want a lame duck situation, especially when you coach by the heavy hand. You don't want a lame duck situation and towards coaches by a heavy hand. As far as the York thing, I didn't find that shocking at all. If the reports are true, what Ryan Whitney said, I think Torts is a guy that challenges guys all the time, and he's looking for exactly what Cam York gave him, a reaction. And I talked about this the other day. I give York credit. He came back at him. I thank God he came back. If he didn't come back at him, I'd be questioning his gut.
Mm-hmm.
I want guys to come back. I mean, as a coach and a guy who's been coached, I've had coaches tell me things and say stuff to me that, they insult you and stuff like that. And it's how you react to it. Sometimes you want to see that reaction as like a shock paddles to find a guy's competitive belly. So I wasn't shocked. I'm not like taken back. Oh my God, he said he's going to bury him. Who gives a shit? Like coaches say stuff like that all the time. Like you got to wake up. There's this notion a lot of times from fans that a locker room is like, being on vacation. It's a country club. It's not. Not everybody likes each other. There's a lot of edge in there and tension sometimes when things aren't going well, and that's fine. Those things happen. Confrontations happen. It's not a bad thing. Iron sharpens iron a lot of times. Some guys need to be pushed to go to a next level. So I didn't have a problem with any of that. I thought they were going to move on from Torts this offseason anyway. The whole notion that he was going to move up to the front office, I thought was always. I don't think he has any interest in it. I think maybe the best case scenario in that regard would have been he just would have been a senior advisor. But they ended it, and Torts is okay with it. I know that. I know he hasn't spoken publicly. I have corresponded with him privately quite a bit. But he did his job here. I think it's getting the organization back on a path of its DNA of accountability and a high standard, and that's what he was brought in to do. To me, he wasn't brought in to fully go through a rebuild and the build up part of it. It was to reestablish that identity of the franchise.
Yeah, I agree with that. At the time he was brought in here, I didn't mind it. Now, some Flyers fans say he was never fit to build or rebuild. And
because they're tied up in old narratives.
Yeah.
He just wants teams to block shots and play defense. That's totally baloney.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, look at year one. They had I think I could count on one hand how many transition opportunities they had in year one. They were a D-to-D regroup just ad nauseum in the neutral zone. It was so boring. Provorov to say I back to Provorov. D-to-D regroup play right into the teeth of the neutral zone forecheck. Sucked, right? A slog of a game. Year two, they led the NHL in transition chances off the rush, and they were second in scoring in transition chances. You tell me that's a coach that's just preaching defense? Getting out in transit. He wanted them to go. That's not preaching D.
Yeah.
That's taking on risk because he had two goalies he thought he could do it with. He had Hart and he had Ersson. You could take the chance because if it got turned over, the other team goes the other way. Odd man rush. He's not a guy that preached just defense.
No, I agree. And I like the thing is with the Tort stuff, though, and the way that it ended, it's kind of I'm not shocked, right? I mean, I kind of probably projected something like this, but it's just you got to thread the needle. That's all. He's one of those guys where you got to thread the needle. So in the beginning, I understood. They had the regime change, which made things a little weird, too. So it didn't align perfectly. But I liked the idea in the beginning, and I liked it through the first couple of years. But towards the end, this is where I think they may have all nailed it. I guess Torts was right to try and get the most out of York because York does need a kick in the ass. Let's be honest. He's got more to his game and we're not getting all of it. So to challenge him, I like. Did he cross the line with the challenge based off of a contract? Maybe, but then it's on Danny Briere to protect some of the players. So I almost feel like then Danny gets 2 thumbs up for saying, hey, listen, I got to protect some of these guys in the room. And I don't know where they come down with this financial stuff. It seems like it's going back and forth and maybe they're not that close, but whatever. But that's part of Danny's job. So I think Torts is right to challenge him. He probably took the wrong route. Danny was right to protect his guys, and York was right to step up and say, yo, dude, fuck off, So I think everybody sort of handled that the way they should have in that respected spot, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and look, Torts probably went over the line. York went over the line, and discipline was handed out. One guy was fired. One guy was benched and had to sit there for the entire game, right, which was obviously uncomfortable. And not ideal because they didn't have somebody else to put it into the lineup. Yeah, I mean, and that's Danny's job to manage everything. It's not just building the roster; it's managing day to day, minute to minute. Sometimes in a locker room, it can become volatile real fast. Some people have said, well, they should have got rid of Torts a year earlier, last year, and I disagree with that because I thought that if you had to have your coach that's going to be the coach for the building part of it, you don't want to taint him with the last year of the subtraction part of it. Now, when Briere came in, of the 35 players that played in that season that Chuck Fletcher was here and when Briere took over as the interim and eventually the GM, Danny's moved on from 19 of those 35 players. Some players are down in the minors. Some of them have been traded. Big names, Provorov, Hayes, moved on from Van Riemsdyk, bought out Atkinson and D'Angelo, 19 players. It's weird, though, because as we've gone through it, it hasn't felt like there's been a ton that's happened, right? But when you look back and you go 19, like Wade Allison, right? Remember the promise of Wade Allison? He can't even get a job in the KHL now.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But all of this has happened, and it's wild. And, the Carter Hart situation. So there's
Cutter Gauthier. It's crazy. Yeah. It's been a lot. And I think that this year, though, was the big one because Farabee, Frost, Lawton, those are some big names for this fan base for a while. So the evaluation period seems to be checked. And now you move into the next stage. So let's get into that because now that Torts is gone, what's next? Do they go with Shawsey, who I saw a story today about Ken Hitchcock saying, hey, I love me some Shawsey.
He's smarter than me for Hitch to say that. Oh, checks in the mail.
I do like the little fun energy, but is that real? Is it not? I don't know. So here's the three names that are, I think, just in the cycle right now out of us just kind of speaking out of our ass. Shawsy, Tocchet. I'm anti. And my favorite, which everybody in the NHL wants, is a nice David Carl.
Yeah.
Where do they go from here? What do they do?
Well, let me ask you first. Why are you against Tocchet? Just because he's a former Flyer?
No, not just because. I do think his mold is similar to John. Now, it's not the same, but I think Tocchet probably a little, I don't know, because everyone I talk to about Torch, when it's out of the game, and you would know this more than anyone else, the guy is a phenomenal human. So I almost feel Tocchet is, I was going to say more player friendly, but still that same style. Maybe that's true, but
he's a hard driving coach, no doubt.
Yeah. So are you doing the same thing just with a different name, I guess would be my reason why I don't love it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the conventional wisdom is a lot of times in pro sports, you have the hard-ass coach, Larry Boa, and then you go with the lighter touch of Charlie Manuel, right? Or you go from, the hard-driving Ken Hitchcock to like a Roger Nielsen, from the guy that constantly berates you to the hugger. And sometimes that works, and then eventually they check out on the guy that's got the lighter touch, and they go, this team needs a hard driving coach to get them back in order, because eventually it will become a country club. I don't know about Tocchet. Obviously, the name and the connection, I think the national media has done a bit of disservice here, kind of just making the assumption that he's tops on the Flyers list because of the connection, the type of player he was, the type of coach that he is, that he just makes all the sense in the world here. I don't care if he's an ex-Flyer. I don't care if he's from Neptune. If he's the right coach, you hire the right coach. Is he? I don't know that. So his coaching resume is a little, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. So I do worry about that. As far as David Carl, I don't know that they're going to go in a first-time head coach thing. And it's not because Hackstall didn't succeed. I think David Carl's a great coach. He's going to want a lot of term. He's going to want 5 years if he's leaving a cushy job that he knows he can't get fired from for the NHL where you're hired to be fired. I don't know that they go there. And then as far as Brad Shaw goes, I don't get the sense that he's going to get the job. And I talked to him the other day. I had him on the podcast, and I asked him flat out. I said, "Do you want the job?" And eventually, his answer came to yes. But it was a lot of, "Well, yeah, and I've been an assistant." I think that was a self-protection mechanism of I don't want to go all in mentally on the job just to be disappointed again, because he's been up for a lot of jobs over 20 years, and he's been an assistant for a long time. But I do everything I can to keep him in the organization, provided the new coach is good with that. Because I think he's done a phenomenal job with a lot of D, from Ristolainen to Sanheim, York last year. I think he's a really good guy. The work he's doing with Drysdale, I think, is really become progressive.
Big time.
And he is a smart, detailed hockey guy. So I think he's good to have in your organization. But the thing I don't know now is who is available. We don't know. We won't know through a couple of rounds, at least of the playoffs. Like, who's going to get bounced in the first round and maybe cost the coach's job, like Sheldon Keefe in Toronto, right? Got bounced again.
Brindy.
Yeah. Well, he just signed a 5-year contract. That's the one thing.
Yeah,
so
he did. Yep.
So but I look at him and I go, well, would people have a problem because he's an ex-Flyer?
No, I'd love him.
See, they would do it for Brindy. They talk no.
Yeah.
So it's a little selective. But with Brindamore too, like, I wonder, like, is he the right guy? Like, I watch him. I've talked about this in conference finals. I think he gets too overly emotional and has too much panic in conference finals on the bench. And if the captain of the ship is freaking out, I think the passengers of the ship start freaking out too. So I wonder about if he's too emotional. He's a great coach, great guy too. But who are the guys that are going to be available? That's the question. In Philadelphia sports, it's always, this team stinks, fire the coach, fire everybody. He's a bum. But my thing in sports radio, when I was in sports radio, was always, okay, you want to fire the coach, but if not him, who? Who's the right guy to lead you forward? What's the direction of them going forward? I still don't know that. What type of team they want to be.
Here's a question. Penguins fire Mike Sullivan. Is that the perfect marriage?
I thought it was the perfect marriage if Torts years would have been a handoff because of his connection with Mike Sully. He's very close with Sully. Talks to him multiple times a week, all year round. I thought that would have made sense. I absolutely talk to him. I think he's going to be available. I do talk to him. He is similar to Torts. He does have recent cups, though. He's a hard driving coach, but I think he's fair. I'd be very interested in Mike Sullivan. I would.
Okay. Yeah. So would I. I like that. That's
he knows how to handle star players.
Yeah. 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 I'd say
that's the hardest thing to do. I think.
Yeah.
Is managing those elements. I mean, when you got guys that are clearly being treated differently by the media, by everybody than your average Joe, because they're great, which they should be. Managing that can be difficult. And he's done a really good job managing that. You don't hear boo coming out of Pittsburgh negative.
No one's figured out Joel Embiid.
Yeah. He's like Erik Karlsson, right? Like just interested in one end of the floor, you know. I mean, Carlson's got to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
I mean,
when he was on Ottawa, man, I thought,
disgusting.
Woo! Yeah. I almost forgot he was even in Pittsburgh at this point. Isn't that crazy how that goes? Where that Ottawa,
that Nars last year,
the Eastern. I know. Did they go to the Eastern Conference Finals that year? That Ottawa team, and then after that, they broke up.
It's in overtime. They went to the cup. They won their first cup. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
He's disgustingly talented.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
I feel like he could go back and drink a beer and have a cigarette during admission, though.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter.
I know.
Freak.
Yeah, I know. It's absolutely insane. I got a couple more for you. Since we're talking about the direction of the team, this is a big one this offseason. Not, just about the coach, but the 2025 draft, all the first round picks, second round picks, 7 in the first 2 rounds. Offer sheets, signing free agents, moving up in the draft to, use some of those assets to get better picks in the draft. What do you think is the most realistic that is on the table for this franchise?
I don't know what the most realistic is, because you need, with a lot of those things, you need partners, right? Everybody can say, well, you need to trade up to the top 3 in the draft. Well, GMs don't trade top 3 draft picks. You know what I mean? They just don't do it, because it'll follow them around for their entire career. If David Pastrnak, you traded away the pick, even though Pastrnak was taken 25th overall back in 2014 or 2015. But GMs don't do that, because it's a resume killer if you miss on something like that. And teams generally in the top 5 are looking to take players, not get other established players. Draft picks give a GM time, because they take time to develop, and GMs love tenure. So this offseason, I think it needs to be the old go down to the local Chinese restaurant and order a combo platter, right? I love the combo platter. I want a little General Tso's. I want a little Kung Pao. I'd like some chicken and broccoli.
Yes.
I want the combo. I need an egg roll and some wonton soup.
Nice.
I need it all. So you got to use all the levers. You got to be highly invested in conversation on the trade market for sure, for established players, using your young or established players, draft picks, and because that stuff is NHL currency. GMs love first round picks. They think it's gold bullion. To me, it's just a big question mark, right? You got to use that. So using all these picks, I think that'd be a mistake, obviously, because you can't have that many players all coming through at the same time either. You got to pay them all RFA at the same time. So that the offer sheet has been kind of taboo, and Doug Armstrong double offer sheeted last year, which I think now greases the skids for that to become more of the way they move forward. I think you can get a 2C in the offer sheet game, whether it's Marco Rossi or I really like Gabe Vilardi in Winnipeg. He's got an influencer girlfriend, like an LA type. Is she really an influencer if he's living in Winnipeg?
Winnipeg. Oh my God, that city sucks.
Yeah. So tell me you're not an influencer by where you live. Winnipeg. Put her on the East Coast, right? Happy wife, happy life.
Yep.
I look at those, with the draft, and we'll see what happens with the draft lottery. Hopefully they get some change in order this year. We didn't see that last year. Top 10 picked as they finished. So I think you have to use every lever available to you. Jonesy mentioned this to me in an interview with him, and he's mentioned in a couple other interviews. The team is keenly aware of the work that Howie Roseman does. Different leagues, not a hard salary cap, but what does Howie Roseman do? He swings and he uses every element available to him to build a great roster. whether it's restructuring, trading, whatever it is, every lever that's available, he manipulates. Danny Briere needs to do that. Use every this day and age of I'm not going to put another GM in a bad position. We have this unwritten code with offer. No, that's available to you. Put the screws to people. You got some cap space. They're not going to get their 1C this summer unless it's in the draft, and he's not going to be the 1C right away. Right? That guy's not there. Connor McDavid's not in the draft. Jack Eichel's not in the draft. But you can make steps to go forward. I think they're in the portion of the rebuild now where it's the actual build, phase 2. It's been subtraction. They haven't filled a single subtraction since Danny's been there with a player of equal or greater value. They haven't. Peltier, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think he's better than Foster Farabee. They haven't shown that to me yet.
Yeah, I agree.
So now it's time to start building, and you got the head coach search too, which is obviously paramount.
Yeah.
But he's got to use it all, Hunter. You got to use every lever.
Yeah, I agree.
To win in a 32-team league, you got to have some stones, but make a mistake. In the NHL, they don't let you off the hook.
I know. Yeah, it's a lot easier to manipulate stuff, I think, with the way the NFL is set up. But
I think about the NBA. Like, player just goes, all right, I'm out of here. I'll opt out.
Well, Gunnar Gauthier kind of pulled that string on us.
Yeah, with no street cred.
He had a filthy goal last night, though. I think he had 2.
He's going to be good. Like, I don't know. I hope he has a great career. I really do. I never root for a player to fail. But the red flags on some of the stuff that he pulled, man.
I'm a BC guy at heart because of the Gaudreau brothers. And when they were playing BU 2 years ago, he had me rocking a BU hoodie. And that's like rocking a Dallas Cowboys hoodie because I hate somebody so much. It was very disgusting, but I had to do it. I had to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because he said all the right things when he was drafted. I know somebody posted my interview with him from the draft, and then where it went sideways, I don't know. But
did he really say no to the guys who they sent over to talk to him during the World Juniors? Who was
Sharp and Leclerc?
Yeah, come on. You're saying no to John Leclerc and Patrick Sharp? You're saying kick rocks?
Yeah.
What the hell? It's these NTTP kids, huh?
4 cups between the two. Leclerc got 1 in Montreal in '93. Sharpie got 3 in Chicago. Nah, I got no time for these guys.
I'll tell you what, man. These
great
kids,
players that played collegiate hockey, the whole thing, right?
These kids don't never learn.
It's the only problem with the NTDP.
Yeah.
The amount of entitlement that's coming. They're producing some good players, no doubt.
I love Ryan Leonard. I love Ryan Leonard. And I don't know.
Bowling ball.
Yeah. I don't see. The thing is, Michkov fell there. You go, Michkov, any day of the week. But man, now I don't think he doesn't scream to me the entitled douche.
No. There's some guys that do defy it a little bit. Like even Quinn Hughes doesn't, kind of fall into that role, or Jack Hughes does.
Yeah, they have the family blood, I guess. When you have the family blood, maybe it's a little different. Maybe
which is crazy because like those two guys are great. Like Quinn Hughes is absurd. He's not good. He's absurd. I don't know if you saw that play a couple weeks ago where he set like the season high for skating speed on a play.
Oh, yeah.
You see that when he went up the right side? I thought I was watching a video game in fast forward. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I watched it 30 times. I'm like, there's no way.
What also makes me not mad, but just makes me reflect, I'd say, is, I'm going to be 30, right? There are people who are 37, 38 that are still in the league after the wear and tear of a 20-year career, and they're still on the ice with that guy. I can't even do a 25-minute workout with some pregnant lady on YouTube who's kicking my ass. Yet there's a 39-year-old who's played in the NHL for 20-something years keeping up with that kid?
Angling him?
Yeah. Focus and stick checking. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
The amount of skill in the league is just, it's so disgusting. The skill is so high. The detail that they play with, dude, how they play in small areas.
I know. They like the backhand sauce. How did you get that backhand sauce to that guy 3 feet from you with 4 bodies suffocating? I don't know. All right, here's my last one for you.
I was playing a beer league game.
Oh, tell me more.
One night, this is back when I was still playing a couple of years ago, and Jamie Lundmark, who was the number 1 first-round draft pick, 9th overall to the Rangers, was playing on the other team. He's on the hash mark. He's like 37 at the time, retired, played over in Europe after he got done. Just sent a backhand from the hash mark in the D zone, cross ice to the far blue. It was just like a flick. I'm like, what the hell is that?
I know.
Beautiful. I'm like, with a flick.
I know. Like these summer skates that are at Hollydale, whatever, the guys that are still kicking it. I'm out there going, come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Boys. Start aging.
Yeah, this doesn't make sense. All right, we saved the best for last. The hell's going on in between the pipes here, guy? Huh? What's going on in between the pipes? What are we doing here?
Here's a conundrum wrapped in a riddle. I said that the other day on the podcast when it comes to goaltending. I don't know whether to wind my butt or scratch my watch because it's been such a gong show. Here's what I know. You can't go into next year with what you came into this year with because lackluster or poor goaltending will undo a team every time. A team can sustain it or make up for it for a small period of time, but eventually the poor goaltending just grabs you and just pulls you under. It just does. It affects the way you play in front of it. You know what it's like. If the goalie back there can't stop a beach ball, you're defending different. The players are attacking or leaving your own zone different because you know it. I make a mistake, the horn goes off, we're pulling it out of our freaking net again. And you can't play right as a skater in front of it. Ersson, I see games where I go, yeah, he's got the skill to be a number one, but the skill to be a number one doesn't matter. It's can you be consistent enough with that? Every goalie can go on a heater. Any goalie can go on here. Andrew Hammond, the Hamburglar, for Christ's sake, can't stop a beach ball 2 years after that run with Ottawa that you brought up, but you can go on a heater. But you look at can Ayers be, consistent enough to give you 55? Because that's what a 1A is, 55. Stud like Hellebuck, that's 62 games, right? Ridiculous, 920 save percentage, like just absurd. But you don't even need it. Next year, you need at least league average goaltending to move this thing forward. Fedotov, I just don't know that you can hit a page in your development at 28, 29 years old. I just think you're beyond development years. And with all he's gone through, his story's crazy, and it's unfortunate that he didn't get here earlier. But I just don't think that you can develop into that. And I just don't see the consistency with him. Yeah, there's games where he looked good. Like the last game he played, they won 2-1. He played great. But he lets in a cookie way too often. It looks like a baby giraffe was just born sometimes. Like it's all over the place. The angles are bad. His efficiency and movement's not there. Overplaying situations. Kolosov. I don't know if he's an NHL goalie or not. I haven't seen enough to say he is. But he's also only 22, so he's got time to develop. So I'm not going to cast him aside. But he needs to develop in the American League. So they got to go out. They got to find a guy. I think you can put a kind of a tandem situation where you have one guy that plays 50 games, the other guy plays like 32 in that ballpark, and you can get good goaltending, whether you go out and sign Jake Allen or, I brought up Gibson, but he gets hurt too much, and he's got a 6.4 hit for 2 more years. Somebody brought up Binnington to me. He's got 2 more years at $6 million. I just don't know if the St. Louis is looking to trade him. Do I look at a younger guy that's in a situation where they got to, they're established and the guy can't get the crease? Got to find a way to upgrade it, though, because it'll just undo a team. And I think there's getting to be a lot of scar tissue from the losing.
Yeah.
And bad goaltending. Carter leaving, it hurt the goalie room. It did. But you got to find a way to move forward to at least bridge yourself to either Bjarnason or Zavragin, and they got to continue to develop. It's not guaranteed that either of those guys will ever play an NHL game. They've been good so far in their development, but one's in the KHL, which is a good league.
He's 19, right? I think 19. So it's so young.
I mean, you got to project him to 23, 24 years old.
Yeah.
Everybody has this notion that Shesterkin and Sorokin, they came over here and just lit it up. Not true. Shesterkin didn't play until he was 25 and played in the AHL. Sorokin kind of went right to the NHL, but came over at 25. They weren't 19, 20. That's very rare. So
that's the question I get on. And by the way, over at WIP, I am making it.
I've seen this. I've seen the clips with the afternoon show. Good on you.
I'm doing it. We puck it up. That's
right.
Fly
the flag, brother. I love it.
It up. That's what we said. It's get pucked up. But the number one question I get when we puck it up is, who is the future at? Like, people aren't interested in, and I know we are because we want to see next year be more competitive, the bridge guy. They want answers on who is the future, the guy who's going to stand in the crease and be here for 10 years to help bring us a cup. And I keep bringing up the 19-year-old Russian in the KHL, and everyone go, well, when am I going to see him? I'm like, But that's where we are. I don't know what to tell you. That's where we are.
Yeah, I mean, like you can make like the bold predictions, like this team's they're always gonna have inferior goaltending. Well, we don't know that yet because I don't. Danny hasn't brought in pieces yet, so I don't know what they're gonna be. I don't even know the exact identity of what he wants to build. The only thing I do know is that as a player, Danny was better in postseasons than he was in regular season. He was a good regular season player. Postseason, he was a hammer, right? Like, so I think he knows how to identify those guys. I think if you have a trait, it's easier to identify the trait. If I was a player that shrank all the time in big games, how am I going to identify what it takes to be a player that's great on the big stage? If I didn't have it, if I had it, I can identify what that trait is and kind of pull it out in that process, know what to look for. So I think they're going to be a high flying team with some physicality. They need to get bigger. They need to get better, obviously, in the crease because it's so detrimental to everything you do. Will they? I don't know. I'm not going to judge them. Everybody wants to judge Danny and Jonesy already on the sins of their predecessors. They didn't have anything to do with that. So I'm not going to judge them. I'll judge them when they're supposed to be judged, when they add and what they come up with. Is it going to work? I don't know. I sure hope so, though, because hockey, spring hockey and playoff hockey, and you know what it's like. Block parties going on. Everybody got the cornhole out down there at the building, the whole thing, right? And you're walking into the barn in a pair of shorts and a jersey, right? Like that's awesome. Going through those rides, everybody wearing an orange shirt, Lou Nolan, the whole thing.
Yeah.
We haven't had a home playoff game here since 2018.
I know.
Like, fuck me. My entire life, I took it for granted. It was always there.
Yep.
It was are we going to make the play? What? Are we going to make the playoffs? Of course. And so we're going to go on a run. Are we going to be playing good hockey and healthy at the right time?
Yeah. I know it means more than just what I'm about to say, but it does feel nice to know that we are in a conversational stage of the Flyers again. Like, look, there's a long way to go and we need to get good, but we assessed and now we're building back up and there's communication that can happen where we can talk about this. Like the Sixers, and I'm not trying to make this a Flyers versus Sixers thing because I know people like to do that, but they are like untalkable. They really are like you do not care about them. And
because they don't care about you, first of all.
Well, yeah, that's true. And it does seem like with Briere and Jonesy, there is definitely a different – it's not – no one complains about Comcast owning the team anymore. You know what I mean? Whereas before when it was Chuck Fletcher, it was get Comcast out. But when you have people who are at the top of this, that Comcast still owns it. It's just a totally different, picture up top now. And
I think Dan Hilferty's been a big part of that too.
He's really everywhere. He's he's shaking hands, he's kissing babies, he's doing the whole thing. Every time I go, I went to the game where they did the Gloucester Catholic jerseys for the warm up. He's in our box. He came out to the box. He was kicking it with us for a good 20, 25 minutes. My one buddy coaches St. Augustine. He gave him his phone number to talk about getting a game at the Wells Fargo Center for St. Augustine to play one of the private schools in the area or whatever. I'm going, this is incredible.
Yeah, he's the chairman of the Flyers.
Yeah, just casually stepping in.
Yeah, he's a good man, and I think he does a good job setting the people up that work for him to do their job. And he's always been good at running companies and empowering people and getting shit done. Like that's his thing. Getting the World Cup to Philadelphia, those kind of things. So he's put Danny and Jonesy in a good spot. And the thing is, like, Jonesy WIP for years. We all know the fart jokes and how aloof he is. But make no mistake, he is the smartest aloof guy in the room. What he masks it with is humor and juvenile behavior. But the dude literally knows everybody in the league.
Sort of like me.
Yeah, he's got intel that you would never you give it to him because you don't think he'll ever be able to do anything with it, right? And he's a big part of this too with Danny, and I hope they get it right because the fans here deserve it again. I want, like you, man. I've been flying the flag when it hasn't been popular to fly the flag, and I've caught a lot of shit for it over the years, but I don't care. I just love the game. Mm-hmm. I love the game too much. Like I'll take all the shrapnel in the world because I love the game's done everything for me. It's shaped my entire life, every element of my life. So I owe it to the game. I think it's the greatest sport in the world. I love it. Is it flawed in culture in some ways? Yes, of course. Everything is. But I think the fans in the city, they go bananas when the team's good, and I want to see that again.
Got goosebumps. All right, that's a good way to end it. We could go on for like 9 hours, and we can't do that. So
yeah, I mean, I genuflected the game. Like I know you do too. Like what it gave you, like in that locker room.
I know.
It's not about on the ice.
No, it's the boys, man. It's
all the other stuff. Yeah,
I'll never forget when I went from college hockey and I transferred to Rowan to pursue this dream. Which hey, we're doing okay. We're doing okay. But that first time going to class without 3 of my teammates with me, rocking the same gear, going to practice afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky that I found something that I loved just as much as I loved hockey. Because if I didn't, you have that, that personality of I was a hockey player. What am I now? And it's like, I realized when I was playing college hockey that I loved sports talk radio more, which never thought ever. Yeah. But thank God I did, because I do know that people have a very difficult time with that transition of what now,
When the helmet comes off, it's hard to find your identity, right? Because your identity all growing up is you're competing too. Like we're all competitors. When you put on the helmet, you become it's like a superhero. You put on like the Iron Man mask, or you're Robert Downey Jr., you become this superhero, and you have a slightly different personality, although it is still you. It's just a highly juiced up competitive part of you. And then when that comes off, you're like, okay, what am I? What am I going to do? What's my identity? And you found this, and I did as well. I stumbled into it. I didn't ever want to be on the radio.
I never thought about it. I was talking to my wife the other day when we were driving. Could you imagine telling me back at Gloucester Catholic when we were going there together that I'd be doing radio? Like I would have never thought in a million years I'd be doing radio. But the burn I have for it is unmatched.
Yeah, and it becomes cathartic. It's therapeutic for you, and it's fun. Like I've never lost sight of that. Like there's a lot of times where you bitch about the drama of radio and you get fucked or whatever, but I always, you don't want to get up off the couch and go. It's just like any other job. But when you get there, you're like, oh, I'm not pushing a wheelbarrow of rocks up a hill here. I've always kind of said, just to keep this in my mind, is that I know that if they posted my job, there'd be a line around the building to get it. Most people would do it for free. So that's the perspective of I'm blessed to have made a career doing what I do. And it's changed. Like I was a radio programmer for years, and now I'm doing on-demand content like you're doing, like this on-demand world. It's not just the future, it's the present, and it's only getting bigger. You put out good content, audience will come, and you're doing that. And it's awesome. I mean, what else would we rather be doing for a living?
I know.
Body doesn't have to hold up, apparently.
Yeah, so solar panels, you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. Union electrician, they make good money.
Installing windows, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't have much interest. I tried to get out at one point. When I left WIP, I tried to get a normal job. I was like, I think I'm done with this, and I got a normal job, and I was sitting in an office, and I was climbing the freaking walls. First of all, I didn't know how to do the other job. They told me I had transferable skills. I was waiting for them to be transferred in.
That's awesome.
I was just never comfortable because I didn't know what I was doing, and I ended up back in radio.
You know what you're doing now. That's for damn sure. Yeah, you're kicking ass with the Flyers Broadcast Network. I saw when you sat down, you got a nice chair with the logo. Oh yeah. I mean, come on. How do I get one of those, Danny?
That's branding.
Come on. I got to get in that world.
Iron one of those on your chair. That'll work.
That's awesome. All right, Jace, I love you, dude. You're the best. I appreciate you hopping on. Any final words? I don't know. I had a lot of, I love talking to you about hockey. When you and I first met at FanFest the one year, I was so elated because there was a hockey guy, and like there's not enough of us out there. And like you and I were talking at that FanFest, and talking to you right away, I'm like, dude knows the game. He's going to be able to speak about it with, certainly passion and a lot of volume sometimes, but knowledge. Like that's good, because I think the best way to grow the appreciation of the sport, especially with hockey, is to educate. If you know what you're looking at, you'll enjoy it more. And you're doing that, man. Keep pushing, keep flying the flag, dude. I love it. Do it on the radio. Do it here like you're doing. And we'll be marching up the hill together, flying the flag, and hopefully, eventually, we'll fly the flag right to a parade. One day. I wipe that GIF, Stanley Cup GIF after every win the best I can.
Yeah.
One day we'll see it. All right. Appreciate it. You're the best. And we'll be talking soon.